welcome on board again.
Thank you, thank you.
Is it your 10th, 20th time in Paris?
I've lost count, but yeah, it must be, yeah, maybe around 20 times. Yeah.
My very first interview with you was in 2002.
Wow.
You were on tour with Spain and In Flames.
Yes. Correct.
What a great tour.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good package.
At that time, could you imagine the Night Flight Orchestra?
Sitting here in a beret by a river Seine? No, I mean, no. I mean, it wasn't really in my plans back then, you know, but I've always wanted to, you know, I've always been a metal fan, but I think the urge to do something else has been there since the start as well. But it didn't happen until later, of course. No, I mean, you know, we released our first album in 2012, got together for the first time in 2009, and in 2007 the first seed was sort of planted when I met David. So, yeah, what a journey.
What a journey.
Yeah, yeah. Seventh album now, so.
How many?
Seventh.
Seventh.
Yeah, crazy.
My first question about this new album, did you write first with vocals and keyboards, or how did you write this album?
A little bit of both. Some of it was, you know, just like a guitar melody or like a chorus or some chords, and then sometimes it started with keyboards. For example, I mean, I'm not a keyboard player, but somehow I made Paloma happen. I wrote Paloma, at least the music for it, the day after Elton John's last show ever, which I got to see in Stockholm. So the day after, I felt very inspired, and I brought out this little MIDI keyboard and was playing around with it, and then Paloma happened, but I wrote the lyric later. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been we've been composing pretty much the same way, like we always do. You never really know what's going to happen. You know, we write separately, and I don't really have like a method. You know, it just happens. It might be a vocal melody, it might be a guitar melody, but it might be a riff. You know, so it's really all over the place. But we have these demos, and then we go to the studio, and that's where everything really comes alive, and some of the songs change completely. You know, so everybody's definitely putting their mark on the whole thing. Yeah.
So there's always a surprise.
Always a surprise. Yes, I think that's an important element for this band, I guess.
Do you like surprises?
Well, it depends, I guess. Yes and no. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess so.
Maybe one of the main challenge was did David write for this album? Or?
The only thing he wrote on this album is Like the Beating of a Heart, which was actually a song that was meant for a different project that he wrote a couple of years ago that we were going to start. It was going to be called Phantom Messenger. Never happened. And then after he passed away, I remember the song and I listened to it. It's like, wow, this is a great song. This deserves more than just like lying around collecting dust. So I talked to his family, his ex-wife and the kids, and they really loved the song as well, and thought that, you know, it would be cool if Night Flight Orchestra pick it up and see what they, you know, do our interpretation of it, and it turned out really cool, I think. So it's nice to have like a mark from David on the new album, but it was also important for us as a band to start from scratch, I think, to sort of take on the challenge of standing on our own feet. You know, I mean, I've been writing songs before, Sebastian has as well, and then Rasmus, the new guitarist, he's been writing 2 songs in this album. So, but I think it was important for us to take that challenge, and we just had to dig really like extra deep and sort of take David's world with us. You know, his way of thinking somehow, and without trying to copy him, because you can't. But I think all the ingredients that made us famous in the first place are there on the new album. So that's a great feeling that you can feel David's presence on the new album as well.
The challenge is also from a metal band to a rock band. What's the most challenging thing in studio when you record? And is it more difficult to record such an album?
Hard to say. I mean, it's I guess it's a little bit of a different way of thinking, and with the Night Flight Orchestra is how can I say? It's more of an anything goes band, I mean, we can move between different genres even on the same album, and it still works. And then with being in a metal band with Soilwork, you feel like you're a bit more in a cage, which I also can enjoy, because I am a metalhead as well, so I kind of can stay within that cage and still develop, our take on extreme metal, and I believe we've been pretty good at that, with Soilwork as well, to develop and evolve within that genre. But then with the Night Flight Orchestra, it's more like an open field. Anything goes, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to turn out great every time. You might get a little too high on the fact that, I can do whatever I want, but most of the time it's a very sort of liberating feeling, and it always, well, most of the times it end up sounding like us, whatever we take on, and I mean, of course, there's certain guidelines that we sort of stay with, or stick with, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a bit more of a playful approach when you compose compared to when I compose with Soilwork, the switch is very easy. I don't know what is harder. I think it's about the same. It's always hard to write something timeless, and sometimes it comes to you very easily, but you never really know what's going to happen with the song, and then you kind of so used to hearing the song, and especially you're writing the demo and you're listening to it, and then you take it to the studio and you hear it so many times, you can't really know if it's like is this going to be something timeless? It feels timeless to me, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be timeless among the listeners. But so it's always an interesting experiment, but first and foremost, it needs to be something that you feel is timeless, and that's something that you really can live with, So I mean, it's quite similar, I guess, when I write with the both bands, but I definitely know what I'm writing for. It's never a situation where I sit and it's like, I wonder what this is going to be for. So we're gonna Netflix. Like, no, I know what hat I have on, so to speak. Yeah.
I was wondering about this new album. I have the impression that on many songs there are maybe the keyboards are maybe more on the forefront than the guitars.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I've heard other people say that as well. I haven't really thought about it, but I mean, we have been working a lot with the keyboards, and John is a fantastic keyboard player, and always adds that extra flavor to the songs. And sometimes, you end up in a situation where maybe the guitar is not really making any sense. It's like, no, we don't need the guitar there. The keyboards, is enough, And it's about giving each and every song the sort of attention it deserves, and it needs to make sense in the end. So I think it's nothing that we've discussed. I think it's just a matter of creating an atmosphere, and what is needed in the song, and maybe we don't need to have distorted guitars and keyboards and then the vocals on top, and then maybe it's just nice to just have it stripped down, and just keyboards and vocals.
Less is more, or more is more.
Well, I mean, then again, the band is quite over the top in its expression, and some songs can be like very long and just go on and on because we feel like it. But it's like, I don't know. In the end, it kind of needs to make sense, and Yeah, and I believe we sort of, usually find the right path there.
On the contrary, I have the impression too that they are really great guitar solos, like I would say Van Halen.
Well,
the Spirit, or
I mean Rasmus, he's a fantastic guitarist, and it was really the perfect replacement for David, and he definitely has David's tradition, his sort of melodic language, but definitely has his own mark, and when you listen to the first song, Stratus, it has a little bit of a Van Halen feel to it. I think you're right about that, yeah. And his tone, is fantastic, So, couldn't ask for a better replacement. There's some really, really great playing on the album, and the melodies and the solos are, really great. Well, he's been playing. He's playing bass in Soilwork, and then so we've known him for quite some time, and then he has been the session bass player in the Night Flight Orchestra as well for some time. When Charlie couldn't do it, that's how we, met him through also previous backup vocalist Anna Mia, so he's been playing with us. He's even fill in on keyboards once for one show, and then also on guitar. So I guess it was a natural transition. We knew him. We knew he was great. So yeah.
Of course, we're talking about music. You were talking about Elton John, Van Halen, 80s or 70s.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sold-out shows tonight, or especially tonight in Paris, but other shows, I think.
Yeah, last night in London, and then Hamburg is sold out, and most of the German shows are looking really good too. So
it's been a rough work on your part for this project to have sold-out show, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work behind it, and just like for every band out there who was out touring when COVID hit, it was really rough. We had a momentum there, and we were out celebrating the release of Aromantic 1, and went on a tour that looked really good, and then after 1 week we had to cut it short and go home, and then so it was a big anticlimax, and I'm sure other bands can relate, so, and then we felt like it was sort of the momentum was lost a bit, and we had to work our way up again, and I feel we've been working really hard with this album, and we need to take our time. And obviously, with David's passing, it's only natural. You need to grieve, and you need to regroup and find the joy in the music again, which we did in the end. And this album came out. And it's very exciting, and it's packed with emotions. This album, so it's definitely the real deal, and coming out on the other side, it's a great feeling.
Do you feel do you feel some nostalgia with the 80s? I feel the world has nostalgia with the past.
Yeah.
And is it the good moment for the Night Flight Orchestra with this such music, 80s music, and is it the good moment?
Yeah, it's obviously a big part of it. It's of course it brings you back to your childhood, and so you connect through that emotionally, and obviously there's a lot of influences. I could go on for an hour. It's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly what bands, but obviously there's a lot of ABBA in there. There's a lot of Kiss. There's Elton John. There's Supertramp. There's Steely Dan. There's Alan Parsons Project. It's really all over the place. But I also believe that we're providing something quite personal in the end. And as much as nostalgic as it is, it also needs to fill a void in the music scene now, and not just be a nostalgia act. And I believe we're so much more than that, and way more sort of multi-layered, and that it also feels that it's looking forward when you listen to it. Somebody said, bringing you back to tomorrow. That's what somebody described our music as, and I guess that has sort of like a refreshing feel as much as it just reminds you of the old days. So I think there's a nice balance there. You
have to tell me everything about your love for disco music, you know. I was
Yeah.
really surprised last time in Paris. You were listening to Sheila.
Yes,
French.
it's our go-to song. We always play that after, before the show and after the show. It's a great song.
So you really like
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird time. Like in the beginning of the 90s, when I started junior high, I started to discover a lot of black metal and death metal. So I was really into that, and at the same time, I was very much into disco, and I collected disco vinyls. It's very weird, but it's also, yeah, I guess that says quite a bit about me and my music taste, my personality. I don't know, but yeah, it's something that I really like, and I also like the impact it had on other genres in the late 70s and early 80s, like the rhythm section and the way people were playing that was influenced by disco, you know. And it's almost like every artist or band that was out, you know, that released records in the end of 70s, they had at least one disco album. And I just love the string arrangements, you know, and some of the stuff that Giorgio Moroder produced as well, you know, and Donna Summer, you know, Once Upon a Time, and really great stuff. I mean, it was a big boom, of course, so of course there was a lot of crap as well, you know, coming out, but there's some really great quality stuff. And I loved every second of the opening of the Olympics in Paris, because it was all disco and
not Omni.
huh?
Not Omni.
No.
Because there was Gojira too.
Oh yes,